Right now, you probably think you know what a caveman diet looks like. Slabs of meat, a fire, maybe a club, but the real answer is far stranger. Your ancestors were not eating like bodybuilders on a meat-only plan. They were eating like desperate, resourceful survivors, and what they actually put in their mouths would surprise you, disgust you, and in some cases, still be sitting in your own kitchen cabinet today. Start with the image in your head: a hunter, a spear, a dead animal over a fire. That picture comes from documentaries, from museum dioramas, from 100 years of artists guessing. But guessing is not evidence. And when scientists actually went looking for evidence, the story fell apart almost immediately. Here is the first surprise: meat was rare, not absent, but rare. Anthropologist Richard Wrangham, who spent decades studying primate behavior at Harvard, found something odd when he looked at surviving hunter-gatherer groups. Hunting large game is hard, it fails constantly. A skilled hunter might return empty-handed most days of the week. So what filled the gap? Plants, roots, tubers, insects, the unglamorous stuff never mentioned in the documentaries. Think about that for a second. Your image of the strong hunter providing dinner every night is mostly fiction. Most calories most days came from gathering, women and children digging sticks in hand, pulling starchy roots out of the ground. That was dinner, not the mammoth, the root. But here's where it gets stranger. Those roots were often raw, fibrous, and barely edible by modern standards. Your gut would struggle with them today. Your ancestors' guts struggled too. So how did they survive on food that hard to digest? Fire changed everything. Wrangham's cooking hypothesis argues that the discovery of cooking, sometime around 1.8 million years ago, didn't just make food taste better. It rewired human biology. Cooked food breaks down faster. It delivers more calories per bite. It requires a smaller gut and less chewing time. Wrangham believes cooking is the reason your brain got so big in the first place, because the energy that used to go toward digesting raw, tough plants got freed up for something else entirely: thinking. Pause on that. The thing sizzling in your pan tonight might be the exact same act that built the modern human brain. Strange, right? Now let's talk about something even less appetizing: insects. Termites, grubs, beetle larvae, not a rare emergency food but an everyday staple for many early human groups. Primatologist Catherine Milton studied the diets of both wild primates and modern foragers and found insects showing up constantly, packed with protein and fat, often easier to catch than a running animal. A slow-moving grub buried in a rotting log was, quite simply, a better bet than chasing a gazelle across open grassland. You probably flinched reading that. Good, that flinch tells you something. Your disgust toward insects isn't universal, it's cultural. It was trained into you. Billions of people around the world still eat insects today without a second thought. Your ancestors weren't the exception, you are. So if meat was occasional and roots were tough, and insects were common, what does the actual caveman plate look like? Researcher Amanda Henry examined something almost nobody thinks about: the plaque stuck on the teeth of Neanderthal fossils. Fossilized dental calculus. Inside that ancient grime she found microscopic starch granules, cooked starch granules, from plants. This wasn't supposed to be there, according to the old Neanderthals were pure carnivores story. But there it was, preserved for over 40,000 years, quiet proof that even one of history's most stereotyped brutish meat-eaters was steaming and roasting plant food on a regular basis. Here's the twist that changes everything. There was no single ancient human diet, not one. A group living near a coastline in what is now South Africa ate shellfish, crabs, and seaweed almost daily. A group in a dry inland region relied heavily on tubers and seasonal fruit. A group near open grassland occasionally brought down large animals and gorged for days when they succeeded. The paleo diet sold to you in a book or an app is a modern invention layered onto a past that was actually wildly diverse, shaped entirely by geography. That means the real ancient human superpower wasn't a specific menu, it was flexibility. Anthropologist Herman Poncer, who has spent years living with and measuring the daily energy expenditure of the Hadza people in Tanzania, one of the last remaining hunter-gatherer groups on Earth, found their diet shifts dramatically with the seasons. Honey in one month, berries in another, meat in a good week, tubers when nothing else is available. Their bodies and their ancestors' bodies before them were built to handle constant change, not a fixed set of approved foods. Does that sound familiar? It should, because right now, whether you realize it or not, your own body is still running on that same ancient logic. You crave fat and sugar intensely because for nearly your entire evolutionary history, those calories were scarce and finding them meant survival. Your brain has not caught up to the fact that a gas station is now 12 feet away, stocked with more sugar than your great-great-grandmother would have seen in a year. That craving isn't a personal failure. It's an inheritance. Every time you reach for something sweet after a stressful day, some ancient wiring built for scarcity is firing exactly as designed. You are not broken. You are simply out of sync with an environment your biology never expected to exist. So what does this actually mean for you? So the next time you look at your own plate, take a moment. That craving for something sweet, that instinct to gather a little extra just in case, that flexibility in what counts as an acceptable meal when you're hungry enough, none of that is a modern flaw. It's a signature. A leftover trace of hundreds of thousands of years spent surviving on roots, grubs, shellfish, and the occasional lucky kill. You probably think you know what a caveman diet looks like. Now you know the truth was never a single plate at all. It was every plate your ancestors could find.